Yeah, I mean, this is an internal combat prototype to show you a bit of how the pacing and flow of Soulframe is going to be. There's lots of stolen assets from Warframe. There's lots of janky stuff.
You're gonna see jank. Yep.
So again, this is not intended to be like a traditional publisher saying worldwide reveal. This is just us doing
making
our
a bad
usual,
decision.
making a bad decision and showing you
The
our
publisher
process.
would go, "What are you doing?"
And
But we are the publisher.
showing you behind the curtain, and
Yeah.
Scott's going to just go through and fight a few enemies, and I think that'll kind of be it.
No pressure, Scott.
No pressure. It's fine. It's only up from here, right?
That's right.
Now, in Soulframe, the word soul is centered around the game's central mechanic and theme, possibly the animals that will lend you their powers. It does not mean a Soulsbourne game. Poor name choice on their behalf, I guess, because it gives the assumption that it is a Soulsbourne game just from the name alone. So it is not an Elden Ring, it is not a Dark Souls or even a Bloodborne styled game, and I think that's something that really needs to be driven home within the Warframe community especially, so that they can weather their expectations accordingly, because a lot of the reactions shown from the pre-alpha gameplay reveal from last night's anniversary Devstream has players believing that this game, which might not be released for another 2 years, is going to be really hard and going to be Soulsborne. It is really not. The devs have stated more than once that it is an openish world co-op RPG with procedural dungeons that will shift at times. It's sword and sorcery to Warframe's gun and void. It is slow melee combat to Warframe's fast-paced gunplay. It's almost the opposite of Warframe. If anything, it's probably going to be closer to an Assassin's Creed style game or Witcher in terms of combat and maybe difficulty as well, just with having those procedural dungeons in, which kind of is giving me little bits of Wayfinder vibes as well, the fact that you have those procedural dungeons. So let's talk a little bit about what we seen last night during the dev stream. The combat, the visuals, the audio. Remember that this is pre-alpha and was just rigged together to show off the general idea that they have behind Soulframe for the sake of the 10-year anniversary. It is something that they themselves admitted last night wasn't ready to be shown off, but they kind of felt like they wanted to just because it was a celebration. So jank to one side, I have increased the scale of what was shown on the dev stream. I've sharpened the image, I have slightly altered the shadows and the colour tone because Twitch's decompression is absolutely horrible. So the gameplay isn't as washed out. So what I'm basically saying is fucking appreciate me, goddammit. Visually, I can't really fault what they're showing off. We've seen only a very small bit of the area with loads of trees, a watermill and some bridges, as well as the enemies that they fought over those bridges with. Plenty of placeholder animations and Warframe assets that you can tell just by looking at it. So a lot of it can change before the game actually goes live or before we even see more footage of the game in a few months' time. But from what we did see, the lighting, the shadows, the audio, and of course the sense of nature was definitely at the forefront. For some reason it kind of gave me Druss and Skilganon vibes of fighting through the hills, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just a high fantasy setting, I guess. Now, using that small bird as an attack, your guide to stun enemies, was a really nice touch. And if that's one of the souls, if that's indeed what the souls are, or the abilities that we can get from the game, I am very curious to see what other ones will be attainable, like the giant wolf we seen from the original trailer, or even the deer as well. And also what other weapons, whether there will be two-handers, ranged bows, and so on. Now, the combat was agreeably very slow, and elements of it looked clunky. Enemies gliding over stone walls, so there was animation issues there as well. Visual parries when Scott wasn't actively parrying. There is a parry system in place that, when correctly timed, it seems to stun enemies and open them up to either a finisher or increased damage. Some movement looked like they're taken directly from Warframe's assets, you can't deny that at all. The blocking with the sword to one side, the dash instead of a dodge roll, and of course the running of the envoy as well. But there is a good foundation in place, I don't think I can deny that, and if they don't plan on releasing this game for another year or maybe two, then of course a lot of work and changes can happen in that time frame. Something that I did notice, however, and a lot of people also commented on during the dev stream, is that the enemies that Scott was fighting weren't really aggressive enough. They kind of just stood back and took it. They waited one at a time, if you will, while attempting to parry or swing wildly. There wasn't enough of a threat or a sense of danger for the actual user, for the player. But again, early days, all of that can change. Now, something that Treboros, honestly, I probably slaughtered your name, dude, I am really sorry, an incredible Warframe creator mentioned on Twitter was he noticed the power armor. Enemies have a slight flash effect when taking damage. Some attacks will stagger those enemies, but then they can power through your attacks and ignore that stagger after a few hits. So you're going to have to get ready to dodge out of the way. You can also attack cancel, which looks very forgiving, and dodge out of the way while you yourself are mid-attack, mid-swing. But again, that could also be tightened up and changed by the time the game goes live. Soulframe, again, isn't Warframe, and I think if you're someone who loves the fast-paced nature of what Warframe is, then this might not be for you. And at the same time, it's not set for release, like I said, for a very, very long time. And the idea that it is a Soulsbourne game, again, needs to be stamped out. 2 minutes of research is all it took for me to find out the devs actually saying it is not a Soulsbourne game. But to summarise it all, I liked what I seen. It looks like they've done their research. It looks like that there is a good foundation in place for a potential game that could be released in 2 years' time. But let me know in the comment section below what you liked or what you didn't like the look of more than anything else. Have a great day, and as always, thanks for watching.
Sucker punch.
Oop.
I haven't even got hit yet. I'm impressed.
A lot of them now.
Oh, he got hit.
Don't worry, I turned on God mode, Scott.
Good, I need it.
Get him.
Oh, he's getting mad.
Nice.
Oh, that was sweet.
Dodge.